Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be looking at Cardano, its valuations against Ethereum, as well as the US dollar. Remember, if you do like this video, be sure to hit the like button and also consider subscribing. You could also follow my Twitter. I just made it recently, and you can follow it at Stefan Nakamura, handle down in the description down below. So, with Cardano hasn't been doing the greatest against Ethereum ever since March, and the main reason why is because Ethereum on its own is having a pretty impressive rally, starting from the end of March, and so you can attribute the move from Ethereum as well as reaching a local peak for Cardano, which had cascaded into a pretty significant drop, and that drop measures from the top to where we are now at about 50% 40, yeah, 46% down. What's interesting is that we're holding the 20-week moving average right now. We closed at it last week, and we're bouncing off of it this week. We're up 5.25%, um, and 1.63% of that gain was today, or at least so far today. Um, Full disclosure, the 20-week moving average until now hasn't shown to be any kind of significant support or resistance level for Cardano. So you can just kind of write this off as a coincidence, but I thought I'd just throw it out there as well. What's more interesting is the US dollar, which is what I rarely say. Obviously, we see that Cardano has peaked at about $1.50 as low as 93 cents, but in essence, we have been range bound. We have been range bound since February. We've just been going sideways. Um, and that's the key thing. It looks like Cardano's in an accumulation phase. Now, obviously, it's not the same accumulation phase as it was here, or potentially you could say like here. But regardless, we are holding steady at this level, which is great. What I kind of foresee for the medium term for Cardano, if it is to stay bullish, it'll be continuing to move sideways, and eventually make contact with the 20-week moving average on the US dollar. We see at the span of here, which was the end of August to the beginning of November, we saw Cardano move sideways, or essentially hold the 20-week or be in the same area as the 20-week moving average. So kind of like what I see here is that we will continue to move sideways while the 20-week moving average continues to rise, and until we make contact with the 20-week, and then we hitch a ride with the moving average. Only then, after that, could we expect a breakout from Cardano. Now, a lot of things can happen during that time. We can see Cardano against Ether continuing to bleed. Perhaps it gets as low as here, and then that would be an optimal time to buy. I think, in my opinion, I think at that point I would be buying my Cardano with Ethereum, but that is something to take into consideration. I think that's like Cardano is a great example of how great the Cardano Ether chart looks, or how the structure is. You can easily find the bottoms, especially if you're buying against Ethereum. But at the same time, don't discount the US dollar. I know I do a lot. I say that the Ether Bitcoin ratio is far superior than the US dollar chart, but I'll give credit where credit's due. You wouldn't necessarily know Cardano's in an accumulation phase if you were just looking at the Cardano Ether chart. You would just look at this and say it's dropping. And so, nothing bullish about that. But moving sideways against the US dollar, bullish. I think that would be bullish. When we look at the Bitcoin chart, we also could see it's holding pretty steady. It's on the rise. But again, you wouldn't necessarily know it's in an accumulation phase. The only one that really indicates that is the US dollar. So with that said, I think this is a pretty good example of what's important about the US dollar, but also the importance of the Cardano Ether chart, and that why just use one, look at both, and you get the insights from both, and you can make an assessment from that. But for the time being, I mean, it's looking good. I mean, I know it looks kind of scary, but we're looking good. The only thing that's standing in Cardano's way, at the very least, is Ethereum. And if as long as Ethereum's moving up, Cardano against Ether is going to bleed. It's going to have a tough time going against Ethereum. I know the swings for Cardano are much stronger than Ethereum, but that goes both ways, right? And when we look at the market capitalization of Ethereum, and yes, Cardano's made considerable strides. it has very small chance of catching up to the number two spot or replacing Ethereum at number two. Um, and with that said, because Ethereum's number two, I have a fair degree of certainty that any kind of liquidity that was made in altcoins and even in Cardano will move back into Ethereum eventually. And I would gander that we're seeing that now, right? Ever since March, we've been kind of seeing that with Ethereum gaining the liquidity back from other ERC20 or altcoins. So that includes Cardano, perhaps even Uniswap. Binance could be another example for that, but Binance, I mean, is moving up as well. But that's kind of the outlook. Cardano has a huge hill ahead of it, but it's doing fairly well considering the circumstances. Um, we haven't seen a significant drop against the U.S. dollar yet. Like what we saw in the fall, late summer to fall of 2020, where we essentially dropped, a considerable amount. We dropped about 36% against the US dollar. Here we're just moving sideways. So we haven't seen that considerable drop. We could see that next week. I mean that would that's something that we can keep in mind. It can happen this week or next week. But if it does drop, look to the 20-week moving average as a sign as a level of support for Cardano, and if it's able to hold it and hitch a ride with the moving average, then we can be a little bit more bullish for Cardano and expect some kind of move from the likes of what we have seen in like last year to early this year, right? We looked at a 1,200% move against the US dollar, maybe not 1,200%, but we could see some kind of valuations that bring us to the $5 mark, so to speak. So like from here to $5 is about a 270% move, which is entirely doable. But that's all for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.